Donald Trump just got brutally fact-checked by a member of his own party for his lies surrounding Hurricane Helene. Now, this is just incredibly embarrassing for Donald Trump, and I just had to talk about this because the lies that Republicans are telling about the hurricane and the disaster response are just reprehensible. So I have a clip to show you of Donald Trump getting fact-checked and a bunch more to talk about, so let's just dive right in. So here's the clip on your screen. Donald Trump had a press conference in Georgia today, specifically in a town that got badly hit by the hurricane. And in this clip, he tries to claim that Joe Biden hasn't called the governor of Georgia and that the governor, Brian Kemp, has had trouble reaching out to Biden. And then the clip that plays immediately after is Brian Kemp fact-checking Donald Trump on this. Let's take a look at this amazing clip.
Ideally with the governor, that governor needs to, he's been trying to get them, and I'm sure they're going to come through. But he's been calling the president, hasn't been able to get him. But
I just spoke. The president just called me yesterday afternoon. I missed him and called him right back. And he just said, hey, what do you need? And I told him, you know, we got what we need. We'll work through the federal process. He offered that if there's other things we need, just to call him directly, which I appreciate that. But
See? Donald Trump's up there lying to the people of Georgia, lying to the people of the United States, saying, oh, you know, Joe Biden doesn't care, and that he hasn't reached out to the governor of Georgia to try to assist him in his effort to clean up from this hurricane and provide relief for the people. And then the governor of Georgia saying, no, sorry, that's actually not true. Joe Biden called me, I missed him and called him back, and Biden said, whatever you need, you got it. This has been the story of Biden's presidency. Anytime there is a natural disaster in the United States, no matter what state it hits, no matter who's the governor, he always provides relief. I remember devastating hurricanes in Florida, and Ron DeSantis said awful, disgusting things about Joe Biden, false things about Joe Biden, false things about his family. You know what Joe Biden did? Provided the relief, met with Ron DeSantis, said, whatever you need, you got it. That's who Joe Biden is. That's the opposite of who Donald Trump is, which we'll talk about in a second. But there's more story to this press conference that Donald Trump had, because we have some reporting here from journalist Scott MacFarlane, who's a journalist at CBS. He posted this video at the same site that Donald Trump was at today. He was covering it. And he says, in hurricane-ravaged Valdosta, Georgia, there was an ambivalence among some victims about Trump's campaign stop next to the damage. Let's take a look at what he had to say in his reporting, because it shows you that the people in Georgia are not too happy with Donald Trump for his political campaign stunt. Let's take a look.
Hey, it's Scott MacFarlane. We're in Valdosta, Georgia. This is where Donald Trump spoke today as part of his campaign stop here in this battleground state. Valdosta, Georgia was right there in the crosshairs of Hurricane Helene. The damage at the business behind me is reflective of what we see in lots of different parts of this city, where power is going to be out through Saturday through much of this city. Schools are closed. It's hard to find gas, food. It's hard for people to get stable footing right now in their hometown. Let me show you around this area. This business has just a whole sea of bricks and debris outside of it. You can get a good look here. They may have cleared that little space where you see an empty circle. That's where Trump spoke today. They put up a podium and a loudspeaker system. All these tractor trailers you see behind me, these were used to help secure the event by Secret Service to help protect the former president as he spoke in the open air in public. We spoke to a number of the folks who live here about this visit, this campaign visit, even as police are trying to help this community respond. They had to help build quite a perimeter here. It took manpower, it took time, it took first responders to help secure this space. And it wasn't a frustration or an acceptance of that in town, it's more of an ambivalence. We went downtown where some of the vendors were serving food that would otherwise spoil out on the street side, powering up the generators, getting food to folks who need a good meal. And they said, it's fine if dignitaries, if a former president wants to visit, not that they're happy about it, frustrated by it, they're just ambivalent about it. At this moment, in this community in Georgia, they're just trying to get their footing. They want their kids to go back to school. They want their power back on. They want to be able to restore their businesses and restore their buildings. The presidential campaign visit didn't register so much with so many people here, one way or the other.
Wow. Some really great reporting from Scott MacFarlane from CBS News. So look at that. Donald Trump, the split screen again is just always remarkable when we look at, just who Joe Biden is, who Kamala Harris is, and who Donald Trump is. Donald Trump is having a campaign stop in a place that's been ravaged by this terrible hurricane, and he's wearing his red hat, and he's having this little press conference. He has, all the power in the world, all the access to food and water that he needs, and he's having a campaign stop trying to exploit this for political benefit, lying about Joe Biden, lying about Governor Kemp in Georgia. Whereas Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, they're on the phone. They're talking to FEMA. They're talking to people on the ground. They're talking to governors. They're talking to state officials saying, whatever you need, you got it. They're not having campaign stops. They're not exploiting this for political benefit. They're not making these people's lives harder. This hinders the response in Valdosta, Georgia, by him and the Secret Service all being there. Biden is just doing his job. Vice President Kamala Harris is just doing her job. That's what real leaders do. Fake leaders, frauds, do what Donald Trump just did right there, having this press conference trying to exploit a tragedy for political gain. And as you just heard from that journalist, Scott McFarlane, some of these people are just like, oh, what are you doing here? Like, okay, fine, he's here, but what are you doing here? It's remarkable. And this is not the only state, Georgia, that Republicans are lying about, because there's just like this misinformation campaign that Republicans are pushing about the hurricane response right now. Here's one from Matt Walsh, who's a popular conservative. You probably have heard of him before, and if you have, I'm very sorry. He's a terrible person. He said, unfortunately, on Twitter, the North Carolina flood victims are citizens of the USA, not Ukraine, so the Biden administration sees no reason to help them. Now, of course, that's false. You can see that there's a community note on this, basically a fact check, but you can also just read for yourself, Matt. President Biden approved a disaster declaration 2 days ago for the state of North Carolina, as soon as it was requested. As soon as Governor Roy Cooper of North Carolina said, hey, we need something, Biden said, you got it. Whatever you need, you got it. That's what he did for Brian Kemp. That's what he's doing for Roy Cooper and every other state that's requesting it. And I mean, look, here's some more data or some just information on FEMA being in North Carolina. Biden has directed FEMA to stay in North Carolina until the situation is stabilized. They have more than 900 search and rescue personnel, 200 federal ambulances, 40 Starlink satellite systems, 25 trailer loads of meals, 60 trailer loads of water, C-17 cargo planes of food, water, and other commodities, and more, including 30 generators. This is what President Biden is doing. Now, as I mentioned earlier in the video, President Biden helps people no matter what state they're from, no matter who they're from, where they're from, I should say. Donald Trump doesn't, because we actually saw Donald Trump's presidency one time. It was a disaster, and how he dealt with natural disasters like hurricanes. Like here, for example, back in 2017, North Carolina, the same state we're talking about here, Governor Roy Cooper requested $900 million from the federal government to deal with Hurricane Matthew, but they received just less than, just around $6.1 million. Less than 1% of the resources they need. So Donald Trump declined 99% of the resources that North Carolina requested to deal with Hurricane Matthew. And Donald Trump and the Republicans want to tell us that Biden and Kamala Harris are doing this or that. What pieces of garbage? I mean, this is something that has destroyed people's lives. And Donald Trump is up there lying about it. His buddies on social media are lying about it for him. It is reprehensible. So that was just really embarrassing for Donald Trump. When members of your own party are fact-checking your disgusting lies, maybe it's time to wrap it up. Maybe it's time to throw in the towel and realize that this whole politics thing isn't for you. Maybe now it's time to get out of the game, Donald. Because if Donald Trump is willing to lie about natural disaster, if he's willing to lie about elections, if he's willing to lie about people's lives, then what is he not willing to lie about? There's no ceiling for Donald Trump. He will lie about all of this stuff, and that's not a great quality in a leader. I don't think so. I don't think you think so either. So anyway, I just wanted to show you this stuff because all the Republicans are lying about it today. So let's just get ahead of it. I mean, my God, with these people. Anyway, I will leave the video there. Thank you so much for watching. I appreciate you being here. Make sure to subscribe down below. It goes an incredibly long way. I really appreciate it. Also, drop a like on the video and comments. Let me know what you think about all this. And as I always say, I greatly appreciate you, and I hope you have an amazing rest of your day.